I would encourage you to review that letter and ask yourselves, are your school systems operating similarly in terms of communicating with parents about these controversial curriculum issues? Well, we had a nice little victory on behalf of our client, Coach Dave Flynn in Dedham, Massachusetts, who was the Dedham football coach, the high school football coach, until he was fired for complaining about CRT propaganda and Black Lives Matter propaganda in his 7th grade daughter's world geography and ancient history class. He didn't know about the curriculum. He and his wife didn't know about the change. The teacher, it was virtual learning at the time, I think, had a Black Lives Matter virtual promotion. And they thought that was completely inappropriate. And they went and complained. And in response to the complaint and in retaliation for the complaint, as alleged in our lawsuit, civil rights lawsuit that we filed against the leadership of the district, they fired him as a football coach. And the good news is they settled. So the case proceeded. We took depositions. The lower court didn't want the case to go forward, so we appealed. But even though they were in a strong position because they had won initially, they still settled the case. And the superintendent wrote a very nice letter as part of the settlement, to be clear, to Coach Flynn. The superintendent acknowledged the important and valid issues raised by Flynn and specific changes in school policies because of his complaint, including the banning of teachers promoting Black Lives Matter to students online. Again, we had filed this lawsuit back in 2021. And now it's over, and it's over because our client, A, fought in court, and in turn, in response, they settled the lawsuit with him, acknowledging his concerns, changing the policies, and getting a good result in terms of policy. Dear Dave, I hope this is the full letter. I hope, or at least part of the full letter. I hope you and your family are well. I'm writing this letter to acknowledge the important and valid issues you raised regarding the Dedham Public Schools and a subsequent lawsuit you filed in federal court. I'm pleased that we were able to amicably settle this matter after the recently filed appeal of the court's decision, as I described to you. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge and validate the concerns you initially raised regarding your daughter's experience at Dedham Middle School. You had every right to inquire about these issues, and you followed the appropriate steps in attempting to learn more. You correctly pointed out that the 7th grade social studies curriculum had significantly changed, and parents were not informed of these changes. In probing this matter further, you discovered the district's website did not accurately reflect the new curriculum content, and parents were unable to understand what was being taught. Your legitimate questions prompted additional conversations at the school committee level that ultimately led to the establishment of a curriculum advisory committee that now brings together parents, community members, and district educators to broadly review and more thoroughly communicate curriculum changes and concerns. Curriculum updates are a necessary and important part of the work of school districts, and effectively communicating these improvements as a critical component of the process. Your initial inquiry triggered a larger internal conversation about the district's oversight in the teaching of these new curriculum units. More specifically, the sequencing of the curriculum's identity unit and the virtual use of a Black Lives Matter emoji t-shirt by a teacher sparked a series of intense conversations about teacher autonomy and the importance of balanced messaging and viewpoints in the classroom. As you pointed out, positive intentions can often have unintended negative impacts on students. Ultimately, I directed staff to remove these t-shirt emojis and instructed them to not wear these in the classroom in the future. So no more Black Lives Matter propaganda in the classroom, at least via t-shirt. Finally, I understand that you raised these concerns at the classroom level. You left that initial conversation expecting to hear directly from the building principal. It appears that this was unclear within the school, and you did not hear back in a timely manner. I'm sorry for this breakdown. Effective two-way dialogue among parents and school staff is the foundation of mutual trust. While we pride ourselves on this connection, In this particular instance, this fueled frustration and identified room for improvement. I regret that these initial justifiable concerns ultimately led to where we are today. As you have indicated, I appreciated your recognition of the opportunity to have improved the trajectory of this sequence. With this settlement, I hope we are able to put any divisions behind us and begin the important work of healing through better conversations and listening. I recognize the school district's opportunity to improve based upon the issues you identified, and I thank you for raising them. As educators, I believe we can always learn from our experiences. Thank you for your many years of dedicated commitment to the development of student athletes at Dedham. Sincerely, Michael J. Welch, Superintendent. Well, I guess we could have asked for a better letter, but I can't imagine we could have gotten one. This was a good settlement, and I would encourage you to review that letter and ask yourselves, are your school systems operating similarly in terms of communicating with parents about these controversial curriculum issues, such as critical race theory and Black Lives Matter agenda setting? And I suspect too many aren't, but this is sort of a best practices letter, don't you think? That Coach Flynn, at great cost, was able to achieve through this settlement of this remarkable civil rights lawsuit. As I said, this is a remarkable victory for Coach Flynn, as his federal civil rights lawsuit resulted in the Dedham School District admitting that he was absolutely right to be concerned about the districts introducing a new controversial CRT style curriculum without parental notice or involvement. Coach Flynn also appreciates that the teachers will no longer be able to use virtual learning to push Black Lives Matter symbols, and it shouldn't take, though, a federal civil rights lawsuit for the school district to do the right thing. We hope that other school officials take note that they must treat parents and their concerns about curriculum with respect and avoid radical indoctrination of their children. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And Coach Flynn said the following: "The past 2 years have been difficult for me and my family. I thank my family, friends, and everyone else who reached out for their continued support." I mean, Coach Flynn had phenomenal support with his former players and his fellow members of the community there, which is tightly knit. With Judicial Watch's help, I can move on from this challenging situation, knowing that by raising my concerns through the appropriate channels, I made a difference for the students and families at Dedham Public Schools. I hope other parents can learn from this and not back down from fighting for what is best for their families. So that was a good outcome for Coach Flynn. And was it a perfect outcome? It was a settlement. But you can see he's pleased. I mean, he fought the fight and he achieved some results that not only vindicate his role here, but will end up protecting other parents and other students from these challenges that his daughter faced in dealing with this crazed curriculum that was being pushed down their throats. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.